Hi, today I wanted to show you how I made this J.W. Anderson inspired cap bag with a old snapback. I don't know how many of you have been around since my snapback era. I've saved a couple of the most special ones, like New York is Dead by Baron von Fancy, and I saw this cap purse design from J.W. Anderson and I thought that would be perfect because I'd actually been thinking before I saw it of like, how can I attach like two snapbacks together and make a weird bag, but that would be very bulbous, as you can imagine. It's slightly different from the original design. I made some modifications just based on the style of cap that I am using. So as you can see, I did these straps on the side kind of the hat instead of the back panel as the original inspiration does. And I also decided to make the zipper part along the top of the bag and have the bag hang brim down instead of brim up. It just made more sense to me as a bag to carry it like this, and also thinking about having to get into it from the brim side. If the zipper was up here, you would have to reach into a very like slim flat panel to get into the bigger like section of the bag that carries more things. So for me, I just put it in the top, and it's stuffed with plastic right now, so that it would look good on video behind the DIY. But I think I will actually carry this. I think it's really cute, kind of a sportier, more street style look. The J.W. Anderson one is a little more luxe. It's in leather, kind of looks like something Blair Waldorf would carry, but I like this a lot. And I think it turned out like it was way easier than I thought it would be. And if you have a hat that you still like the design of, but you never wear it anymore, you can turn it into a bag. So here's the tutorial. So I'm starting out with my snapback. As you can see, it has the hole in the back, which we're going to need to fill with some duck canvas. And I also have a strap. And the first thing I'm doing is adjusting the snaps so that the hat lays really flat and isn't too pinched. I think when it was on the tightest snap, it looked a little pinched, so I'm just kind of going for somewhere in the middle so that it will lay really nicely when we put this little piece of duck canvas in to cover that hole. So I'm cutting out a small piece of duck canvas, and then I am going to measure it against that hole in the hat, just pinning it in place to make this process a little easier, and then I am going to trace around the hole. Now I am cutting out that shape with a little bit of seam allowance so that I can do a zigzag stitch to finish off the raw edges, which is what I will do next. And then fitting that little piece into the hole, I'm going to pin it in place and then stitch it by hand. Next, I am tracing around the round part of the hat, leaving out the brim, and then I will remove the hat and just finish off that circle. And I am cutting out the circle with no seam allowance. Just double checking that the circle is going to fit, and then I am going to take some bias tape and pin it around the edge of the circle. This will prevent fraying and give a nice finished edge without having to do any sort of hem or folding kind of seam situation. Once the bias tape is pinned in place, I will just go to the sewing machine and stitch all the way around the edge to secure it in place. And it looks like it's going to be a perfect fit. So we are going to next take the zipper and sort of fit it to where we want it to go, pin it in place. And then I am hand sewing the zipper in place. I am just using a whip stitch around the edge of the zipper tape. You could sew a little closer to the teeth as you would if you were doing this on a machine, but I think this method works just fine, especially for a smaller project like this. So once the zipper is attached to the cap, we're going to add our circle piece, and it does take a little finessing to pin this into place, but once you do, it's smooth sailing, just more hand sewing. I'm starting at the edge of the zipper here and just tucking in the end of the zipper tape so that it is covered, and just going back and forth a little bit extra in this area before I move on to stitching down the rest of the sides. Once the sides are stitched, I am going onto the zipper tape, and on this side I am going a little bit closer to the teeth, just going back and forth on the existing stitches that the machine made on the bias tape. And I did attempt to hand sew the bottom part to the brim, but the brim just proved too difficult to sew into, so I ended up using some E6000 glue to secure that in place. So then I have these two purse buckle pieces. I am just attaching one end of the strap to one of the buckles like so, just hand sewing it. This part gets complicated. I recommend, if you want to have an adjustable strap, look at an existing purse you have to try to figure out how it should be threaded. This definitely took some trial and error, but I did end up finally with an adjustable strap. And then I am just going to take the other end of the strap and do a zigzag stitch on it on my machine so that it doesn't fray. Like I said, I decided to put the straps on the side of the hat instead of the back, so I'm just pinning those into place. And then on the buckle side, I am just hand sewing around the lower portion of the buckle so that the strap is still able to move freely through it and be adjustable. And then on the other side of the hat, I just sewed strap straight to fabric. And then you're done.